Greg Brown. And I'm David Ivy, and this is Dynamic Discussions. This is another installment in a weekly video series we're bringing you about safety products and how to use them. This week, we have a special guest, Tim Wade with Constant Aviation, and he's going to help us out with some aviation safety.
Tim, first, can you just jump in and give us a little background on yourself, who you work with, and kind of what you do?
All right. Yeah. So I'm with Constant Aviation, as you guys mentioned. I'm the director of health and safety for not only Constant Aviation, but we have a sister company called Nexton Aerospace as well. We're based out of Cleveland, Ohio, headquartered in Cleveland. We have a 6-hangar operation at Cleveland, as well as most of our back shops. So off-wing maintenance, such as wire harness, paint, landing gear, are going to be located in Cleveland. And then we have a large operation down in Sanford, Florida as well. They also have paint operations, aircraft interiors, as well as multiple maintenance hangars. So it's in just kind of what of our the layout of our company. We work on everything and anything that has to do with a business jet, from small repairs that our mobile team that's spread out through the country can handle, all the way up to large overhaul, tear down maintenance that could take 3 to 4 months at a time.
Awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like you guys got a whole lot going on. As we
Yeah.
know, in the aviation industry, there's a lot of fall protection needed. So can you kind of elaborate on what fall protection is typically used and what kind of scenarios you encounter on a day-to-day basis, or maybe annually for some inspections or anything like that?
Absolutely. So fall protection is one of those areas in aviation that is probably one of the more involved and invested in areas when it comes to safety. Normally, you won't see a lot of steel-toed boots and hard hats and elaborate PPE programs involving aviation. We do utilize items like that from time to time, but fall protection, that's that one area, because of how tall a lot of the aircraft are that we work on, that we're really invested in. So the types of fall protection we normally are working with are your maintenance stands with railings, and then SRLs to personal harnesses. And with how large our hangars typically are, with how high they are, our SRLs are usually anywhere from 20 to 40 feet worth of cable that we're strapping into at a time.
Awesome. And so with that, you have a special situation with aviation. So what are some of the challenges that you see that are specific to your industry?
Yeah. So when it comes to aviation, I always say simple mistakes are the costliest for us. It does not take much to damage an aircraft in a way that would prevent it from flight or cause it to need a large maintenance event. So one of the challenges, and this is not just with Constant, this is through aviation all over the place. One of the challenges we see with fall protection just comes down to the lanyards on the SRL devices. So most of the SRLs will have a small rope or a nylon lanyard coming down, and it could take someone walking through the hangar going, oh, I want to shorten this up a little bit. So they strap it up, tie a little knot in it. Well, when you go to move that aircraft out, that lanyard could possibly slip in between a flight control, and as it comes up, it could cause a small dent. Well, a small dent on a flight control almost deems the aircraft unairworthy at that time, and it needs a repair. So we always harp on our guys to make sure no tying knots in the lanyards, make sure those are clear. Always clear the aircraft prior to moving it. But with fall protection, that's one of the areas we really look into. Another challenge we normally have is the fall protection industry is really big with construction and a lot of industries that tend to have tools and a lot of metal and a lot of attachments to their harnesses, which is great for a lot of the industries. When it comes to aviation, those could also damage the aircraft. So we tend to look towards fall protection that has no metal on it, very limited components, because all you have to do is lean up against an aircraft and you're going to scratch the paint or you're going to dent it. And the last issue that we can sometimes see is, especially in business aviation, a lot of our employees, a lot of the people in this industry have a prior military background, myself included. And when I was in the Army, I noticed fall protection was never something we were trained on, never something we were supplied with. And that was just stateside. We would never have that downrange in Afghanistan when I was over there. Our hangar probably couldn't even support it at the time. It was just a tent. So when you have people who work, who are coming from the military, who have been in that side of the industry for so long and did not have that aspect of safety, such as fall protection, preach them, it's kind of difficult to break those habits as well. So that's really, in all three of these things that I covered, a lot of that comes down to training your guys properly, making sure they're familiar with the equipment, and making sure they're familiar with the hazards that are involved with not wearing your fall protection.
Yeah, you're working around very, very expensive equipment there. And
Yes.
typically, we're working with construction industry. So, if somebody scratches a 2x4, it's definitely not a costly expense, but you scratch a multi-million-dollar airplane, that's a problem.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially, we always, if we do have to have a harness with metal buckles and things like that on it, tape it up, make sure your metallic edges are covered. So yeah, it's a big thing that we like to discuss often on our monthly safety meetings. Make sure you're not only protecting yourself with the safety equipment, but protect the planes from the safety equipment at the time too.
So on a similar note, in the aviation industry, kind of what are some common mistakes you may see, whether it be internal, external, when working with fall protection?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned with the construction industry, you might have guys who are on fall protection multiple days in a row. Maybe they spend their entire career in a harness. Maybe that's their job line. When it comes to aviation, we go from task to task, aircraft to aircraft, and even inside certain tasks, you might be coming on and off fall protection often. So an example of that would be if we're doing an antenna install on top of the aircraft. You're gonna have a technician get on top of the aircraft. He's strapped into fall protection, does some work on top of the aircraft. Now he needs to go inside and start wiring that antenna in. So he's going to get off the aircraft, disengage from the fall protection, go inside, work with the wiring. Going to get back up to finish work on the antenna, seal it in, things like that, re-engage in the fall protection, get back on top of the aircraft. So as you can see, there's a lot of back and forth. So a lot of that comes down to being situationally aware, understanding your task at hand, understanding the moment I'm getting out of the aircraft, I know I need to re-engage with my fall protection as I'm getting onto the top of the aircraft. And then not letting your human factors kick in at that point. So another big training point that we have in aviation is we discuss human factors all the time. It's almost a religious experience for us. We are always in always in human factors with our guys, making sure they understand that not only complacency on the job, but things outside the job as well. Um, Aviation is one of the few industries I've heard of where, if you are having issues outside of your job, say you're going through stuff at home or something like that, all you got to do is raise your hand and say, hey, I don't feel safe working today. I don't feel comfortable turning wrenches today. And that is translated to the supervisor of not, he doesn't feel like turning a wrench and putting a bolt in the aircraft. He doesn't feel comfortable taking the lives of the people who are going to be flying on that aircraft in his hands today because of some sort of human factors element outside of his position. So that's why we always harp on it. Not only do we not want our employees ever in a situation where they could be injured or damage an aircraft due to things going on, we don't want to take that to the families and our customers that are going to be flying on our aircraft. So human factors plays a huge role in this, and understanding that there are easy mistakes that can happen with regards to fall protection, moving in and out of the aircraft up and down all the time.
Great. It's really interesting to see how fall protection varies from industry to industry. And I do think a lot of us think construction, factories, things like that. But this has really been a neat conversation and learning about aviation and fall protection and the specialties involved there. So that's great. Tim, how can people get in touch with Constant Aviation?
We're on all social media platforms. They're welcome to check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere. Our website, constantaviation.com. You're welcome to get online with that. They can contact me through LinkedIn anytime if they have any questions, concerns with regards to our safety program. We're extremely proud of our safety program. I'm sure if you look through a couple of the previous news articles and press releases we've had, we've gone through a lot of transitions with our safety program, improving it every step of the way. And we're very proud of the product that we have now. We're always open to discuss that with anybody who's interested.
Awesome. Thank you, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me.